Hi boys and girls, this is Miss Stamper. I'm going to be doing a video and recording our Bible story. So you can watch the Bible story that I'll be reading, and it's going to be connected with Acts that we did last week and then Romans this week. And just keep studying that verse and reading it. The book of Romans was written by the Apostle Paul. Now here's the story today. The Apostle's Paul's name actually first when he was born and a child and a young man was actually Saul. So he changed names later on for a really big reason. As a boy, Saul was a follower of the Jewish religion. He followed their rules, he followed all their lessons, he went to their temple and he took all the lessons he needed to take, and he just was really good understanding everything that these leaders were telling him, and he became a Pharisee, very strict. He followed the Jewish law exactly, whatever it was, he followed it. And he was so sure that was the complete way to go. And he decided that when he heard about the Christians and Jesus, they weren't exactly following the laws he was taught from a child. Jesus came and brought a new way to the Old Testament called the New Testament and the Gospel, and that Jesus is the way to salvation. But the old law didn't exactly say that. The old law said they had to sacrifice an animal to have their sins forgiven. Jesus gave his life for us for those sins to be forgiven. But Saul was listening to that, and that made him upset. He didn't like that the Christians were saying something differently, and he didn't believe that Jesus was the Messiah. So he started getting upset at those Christians who were left after Jesus went to heaven. And you know what he did? He started hunting them down and looking for them and imprisoning them. He started what we call persecuting the Christians. He went after them. If he heard there was a Christian in that town, he went over there and he tried to find them if they were in hiding. And the Christians became very scared of Saul. It was Saul first. And they actually had to hide when they heard he was coming. They got scared and, oh, Saul is coming. He's a persecutor of Christians. We have got to hide. So that's the story I'm reading today. And how Saul was traveling on the road one day looking for Christians. He was going to go capture them. But God stopped him and spoke to him. So here's the story. As a boy, Saul had left his home in Tarsus and came to Jerusalem to study the Jewish religion. When he grew older, he became a very strict Pharisee. Saul believed in the law of Moses. It seemed to him that Jesus and his followers dishonored the old law. Because he loved the law of Moses so much, Saul became very hateful to those who did not honor every part of the old law. He especially came to hate those who believed in Jesus, and he longed to get rid of them. That's very sad, isn't it? In Jerusalem, Saul had mistreated and put in prison many followers of Christ, many believers. He had made life so miserable for these believers that many had to flee the city and find safety. News reached Jerusalem that the religion of Jesus was growing and spreading through the whole country. The more the Jewish leaders tried to stop it, the faster it grew. What should they do about this? Well, Saul became angrier hearing it was spreading, and he spoke up. "I will stop this religion yet," he cried. Rushing to the high priest, he asked permission to go to a city called Damascus and search for followers of Jesus. Saul planned to capture them and bring them back to Jerusalem as prisoners. The high priest wrote the letters to the rulers of the synagogues in Damascus. He told them about Saul's coming and commanded them to help Saul find the believers in their city and capture them. Saul was to take these letters to the synagogue and show them his permission. With a few friends, he started on his way on a long trip to Damascus. Other messengers hurried on to Damascus too. They wanted to warn the believers that Saul was on his way to arrest them. So here you have Saul over here with his buddies, and he's going to ride to Damascus and capture the Christians. Then you have a few Christians who heard about it, and they snuck out to try and warn the other Christians to hide and find safety. Let's see what happens. Well, Saul and his company traveled north from Jerusalem and passed through many towns and villages. Finally, they neared Damascus. It was around noon. Saul and his friends could see the great wall of Damascus ahead of them. Suddenly, they stopped. There was a great light shining from heaven, and Saul fell to the ground. The men thought they heard thunder, but Saul heard a voice from heaven call out, "Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me?" Saul was amazed and terrified. He thought he was protecting the true religion when he opposed those who believed in Jesus. And he cried out, "Who are you, Lord?" The voice answered, "I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom you are fighting against. Why are you fighting against me so hard and hurting my people?" Instantly, Saul remembered how cruel he had been treating the followers of Christ, how wrong he had been. Now he asked, "What shall I do, Lord?" So here you go. Here's a picture. Here is Saul looking up in the sky where there is a bright light shining. And here's his friends. I'm peeking over the book. So he's listening to God speaking to him. God wants him to stop persecuting the Christians and to work for him now. And Saul is listening. He realizes maybe he's been doing the wrong thing. And his heart is open and his ears are listening. And he's asking God, "What shall I do, Lord?" He has a willing heart. That's the good thing. That's really important, that we have a willing heart to listen to God. And God spoke and said, "Get up and go into Damascus," Jesus told him. "There you will be told what you must do." Because of the bright light was so strong, Saul's eyes had been blinded. He would need to help to get into Damascus with his friends. Saul got up, but he could not see which way to go. The great light had blinded his eyes. The men who were with Saul had not been blinded, though, by its brightness. They helped lead Saul, who was trembling with fright, into the city of Damascus. And there they would take him to a follower of Jesus, of all the people, who would pray for him that his eyes may be opened again. So here he's going to be taken to a house of a Christian who he was just a little bit ago going to capture. So our next story will be what happens when he meets this Christian. Is his heart truly going to be changed for Jesus? We'll have to find out next time. Well, my friends, here's your story from our Bible, and we just trust that you'll be doing your best this week, doing your work, and remembering that God is with you and that TCA cares about you, and we are praying for you. You all have a good day. Take care. Bye.